Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar, Applied Epic Dashboards 101, Visualize Your Agency's Performance. My name is Eleni Lepo, Director of Marketing at Kite Technology Group, and our presenters today are awesome agency consultants, Jenny Honican and Laura Whaley. We're so glad that you joined us today, and we're excited to be sharing our content. And I want to just tell you a little something about who Kite Technology is. We're a managed IT service provider and agency consulting firm, and we work with independent insurance agencies and other businesses across the country. We have 30 years of experience, and we have a team that really knows the insurance industry firsthand. So we help agencies get more from their technology and their Applied Epic system. You'll see some of our key services listed here. So if you want to learn more or you want to set up a time to chat, just send us a message through the Q&A and we'll reach out after today's session. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to you, Jenny and Laura, to introduce yourselves and get us started.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Jenny Honican. I'm an agency consultant with Kite Technology Group. My specialty is on the servicing side. I do epic optimizations and help you with reports and all of that fun stuff. And I also have Laura with me, and Laura's going to be answering the Q&As in the background.
So I'm also an agency consultant here at Kite Tech with Jenny, going on 3 years, and I too focus on optimization of servicing side. So as Jenny said, I'll be moderator in the background, answering a lot of questions that come through. We'll obviously try to answer some live, but due to our time constraints today, I'm going to try to answer as much as I can in the background. So thank you for joining, and Jenny, I'll give it back to you.
All right. So today we've got a lot to bite off in this next hour. I want to introduce you to Applied Epic Dashboards. I want to show you how to grant the licenses, manage the licenses. We're going to do a brief comparison of reports, analytics, and dashboards because they don't all pull the data the same way, and that's the biggest frustration that we hear from users is that my dashboard is wrong. It's just looking at the data differently. We're going to go through each one of the dashboards, very high level overview of each one of the dashboards. And then I want to just give you a brief introduction into the asset builder. So let's hop right in to the dashboards. What I do want to remind you is this is a broad overview. We just have an hour, so we're not going to be able to get into the weeds of each individual tile in the dashboard. But we're gonna do our best to answer all of your questions. Just keep in mind, this is not going to replace Epic reports. This is just, the dashboards are really here to show you trends. So you're going to see trends in your data, that kind of thing. Each user is assigned a role. So based on what they do in the agency, and each role is going to have a different dashboard. Everybody's going to start at the Pulse dashboard. Your landing page is going to be this Pulse dashboard, but all of those are going to be different as well. Some of the things about working with the dashboard is you can set your criteria at the top. So in this case, I have a limited number of criteria. It's not going to be the same as Epic reports. But if I do change the criteria and just choose maybe one of my agencies, you just need to remember that when you do that, it doesn't automatically refresh the data. You'll see this blue circle come up, and you need to refresh the data manually that way. If you hover over the titles, then that's going to show you how that data is pulled. So really rely on your descriptions that Applied's put in there for you. And then if you click on some of these titles, see these are hyperlinks. If you click on those, that actually will take you to a new dashboard. So you can do that. You can click on the tiles. You can click on the numbers or the bar graphs or the lines. And if you do that, that'll actually take you into a spreadsheet of the data that makes up that number. You can download it if you have access, and you can download it right into Excel if you need to. And then you can also set alerts. So if I wanted to set an alert when my average activities day is overdue, the average is over 14 days, I can set an alert, and I can send an email to myself to let me know that I have, I've hit this threshold. So that's kind of nice there. And then the other thing that I want to remind you just in general about dashboards, and we'll dig into them a little bit deeper in a minute, but the data doesn't refresh instantly. So it's not like when you run an Epic report and you go and you change a piece of information and then you rerun the report is going to update. This is not instantaneous. These refresh about every 1 to 2 hours. And if you want to know when your data has refreshed, just scroll down to the bottom and it'll tell you when the last data update was. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at your dashboards, that it's not going to be instantaneous.
Question that came in that they were asking, where did you start to access this area? So if you could just pop out back to the home screen and
So a reminder, in order to have access to Epic dashboards, you do need the extra add-on that you have from Applied. You'll see it just on your home screen. So just like everywhere else on your home screen, you can click it from here. If you're on another screen, you can drop down and click dashboards from there. So when you click dashboards, it just takes you right over to the dashboard screen. It takes a minute to load up because it's a lot of graphics and things like that. But that's how you get to dashboards. In order to see a dashboard, so if you haven't been granted a role, it'll say, you'll get a message and it'll say contact your administrator. And if you're the administrator, or your administrator will do this, they will go to configure and security and logins. And so you can see all of your logins. And so you have a couple of areas here for dashboards access. The first one is, let me find Jenny. Open up. I've been granted the data consumer with download. So remember, I told you that you could download into Excel. If you don't want your users to do that, then you can actually give them the data consumer. So you've got these 3 levels of licenses that you want to grant your users. The asset builder, that's where you can develop dashboards and tiles just unique for your agency. You usually only are going to have one of those licenses per agency. If you're a larger agency, then you might have 2 or 3 depending on the number of seats that you have. But you've got one, so you're going to assign one user that asset builder license. And then the data consumer means I have access to dashboards, but I can't download. Data consumer with download, I have access to them and I can download. So you want to choose one of those for your user, and then you want to give them a role. So are they an account manager or servicing rep? Are they an accountant? Are they a department manager? IT/operations manager? A word of caution. The operations manager that you might be thinking of would probably be better suited to have the department manager checkbox instead. You can check more than one, so you can give them more of that. The IT operations is more of a login and security changes kind of dashboard. We'll get into that in a sec. You got producer and sales manager, and you have principal owner. So if you grant principal owner access, then they have access to all of the dashboards. You just have to click the one. So that's what you need to do. You need to assign them a role and then click finish, and then they'll be able to see all of the dashboards that they need to see. So I said that dashboards is going to pull the data a little bit differently than a report. So I just want to focus on that section for a minute. So as a general rule, when you're running a report, you're running based on mainly based on the policy status. Yes, you're going to put dates in, and might put a line type or things like that. But overall, if you're tracking new business, if you're running a report for new business, then you're looking for the status equals new, or even like a one-time policy status if you have it. But that's your new business report. If you're looking for a rewrite, you're looking for your status of REW, or if you have like a new rewritten or a renewal rewritten, your rewrite codes. And then if you're looking for renewals, then you're looking for your status of renew. So that's basically, how it's defined in reports is based on that policy status. If you're in applied analytics, it takes the statuses, but it takes it to another dimension, because in the background in your settings, you assign that status to be to map to, okay, this is canceled, that means lost business, this is new, that means current business, that kind of thing. So for the most part, analytics also goes by status. Dashboards does not go by policy status. Dashboard is actually looking at the service summary row, action, and the stage. So in the case of the dashboards, new business is defined as that first service summary row, that line 1, that action is new, and the stage cannot be in process. So if you keep your policies in process, then they're not going to show up in dashboards. They're considered quotes by Epic, just like in Renewals Manager, they consider that quotes. So so new business, action is new, stage is not in process. A renewal is the action is renewed and the stage is not in process, and it has the same PPE as the prior term. Rewrites are the first service summary row action is renew. Yes, we'll talk about that in a sec. Stage is not in process and it has a different PPE as the prior term. So we have always said for years and years and years, so that the download comes through, you have to enter that rewrite as a new line of business so that the download will come through. If you're following that workflow that we've always recommended, it's not going to show up as a rewrite on dashboards. So you might want to rethink modifying your workflow to where you actually renew. And account managers actually like that workflow better, where you renew and then change the PPE. It does put it can put your policies downloads in suspense, but it's the trade-off that you have. All right. So those are the big differences. When you go to your dashboard and you land on your home, everybody except the IT and operations manager role will have a Pulse dashboard, and it's going to be completely different for everybody. The Pulse dashboard for the principal owner has carrier information and agency information. The department manager Pulse dashboard, and you see I'm using this folder here to navigate. It has overdue activities and things to do with the staff, that kind of thing. So they're all going to be a little bit different. So you can get to these, you can get to the sub dashboards starting from the Pulse dashboard by clicking the title. But since they've developed these dashboards, they've actually added more. And if you go to our blog, we've been writing blogs lately about each dashboard, and it goes more into in depth as to what each tile is. If you go into the blog, you'll see that there are some dashboards missing because they've actually updated quite a bit. So if you want to see everything that's available, then you can come through here, and there's your Pulse dash. They're just in alphabetical order, so you just have to know the name of them that way. You can also use the folder view. This dashboard menu is actually relatively new. Just a few months ago, you had to go to the folder view and then go to the group and my organization. Nope. Sorry, shared Epic dashboards, and then you could find your role here and go that way. So you can do that. And then don't forget that if you want to find a dashboard quickly, if it's one that you really liked and you can't remember how to navigate through, especially as they add more in, click this heart. And if you click the heart, it starts, not filled in. When you fill it in, it becomes a part of your favorites, and then you can just easily get to your favorites from here. So it's a nice little shortcut, especially if you're the principal owner, or you have multiple roles in the agency. It's easier to find things that way. There is a data quality. You can navigate through here and find it, but there's a data quality dashboard at the bottom of everybody's report. That's where that is. And then everybody is going to have a risk map as well. And you can get to those through the folders, or those actually have to be through the folders or through the navigation. And then when you get to the risk map, everybody has some version of a map. We'll get into it in a minute. All right, so let's start with the account manager servicing rep on the Pulse dashboard. And this information is pulled if the user, whoever's logged in, is on any servicing role. So on the policy, on the servicing tab, if you're the account manager, the producer, the claims person, whatever roles you have, if your name is on that servicing tab, then the data is going to pull into this dashboard for you. So you can see you've got the Pulse dashboard and everything within it. You also have a renewals management dashboard. This is kind of nice because it'll show you everything that's coming up for renewal. Typically on the dashboards, it's everything that is coming up. This is expiring but hasn't been renewed in Epic. Again, remember, just hover over and figure out exactly either the name, if it's a hyperlink, or this I with a circle, the information. This will tell you exactly how the data is pulling. And then you also have claims management, data quality, the risk map, but I want to show you the overdue activities and unrouted attachments dashboard here. So if you're an account manager, I can see that I have 16 overdue activities. This is where I'm assigned to this activity. Here's my average days overdue, so I'm really not working my activities. And then I can see the breakdown of how many are in 1 to 3 and how many are over 15. And then I can also see by code. So if I've got mostly, these renewal, this looks like a renewal of an opportunity, all of these, if I'm seeing that I have activities that are open, maybe download activities that I just haven't closed, then I can go in and pull them up. Probably easier to go for your home screen and show that. Here's your overdue activity. So here's just a list of all of them. Again, I can click in, and if I want to see these 5 RNOPs, I can hop right in here and see these activities. And then I can, if I click on the hyperlink, it opens up that activity for me. It should. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, it should take me right to the activity. So when you are in that Excel spreadsheet, it's not Excel, but in that spreadsheet, you'll see that it'll take you can go right to the policy, to the account, things like that. Just navigate right in there. I also have just a total of 17 open activities, and this will show me if you're using unrouted attachments, you've got unrouted attachments there. And I think I will show you the risk map here really quick, just because, like I said, everybody's got it. This is just the risk. This is risks that are in the application information. So this will show you a nice little map of where all of your risks are in your personal book of business. So they'll list them down here as well. So it's kind of nice to be able to see that spread out there. All right, next we have the department manager. And I want to start at the Pulse dashboard. And if you're the operations manager, this is the one that you want to have. It's a lot of the same information, overdue activities, but you can actually look by employee. So here you've got some more criteria at the top, some more filters. You can look for a specific employee. You can look for a couple of employees if you need to. Just don't forget to hit the refresh button there.
Hey, Jenny, on that screen, we had a question if you could elaborate just a little bit more on what work efforts are, how those are measured.
Oh, yeah. That is why I do want to highlight that. So work performed, we've got work performed, and this will actually take you to the work performed dashboard. But again, if you highlight, it'll tell you work efforts are activities created, activities closed, tasks created, tasks closed, notes created, and attachments created. So you're going to get a point for each one of these. Each one of these items. This is in contrast to the activity report where you run it for how many activities were entered today, and then if they enter notes, you can't really report on that. Or how many activities were closed today, you can run a report based on that. This counts everything, and this is just it. What you see is what you get on these dashboards, unless you have the asset builder. So if you're, if you don't want to count task close, things like that, you might want to go to the asset builder. But we've had a lot of discussions internally about, attachments created will also create an activity. So you actually get 2 points for dragging and dropping, unless you're dragging and dropping to the existing activity. But if I click on work performed, it gives me just a bigger view of the work efforts here. It'll break it down by the type of work effort. So they're all here. This is our demo database, so we don't have a whole lot going on. It doesn't look like. And then this should break it down by employee. This is over, this is just this month. So you can go back and look over, this year maybe, and refresh and see more data, break it down by, this is just Ashley. Sorry, Ashley, picking on you. But it's demo data, so yeah. So now you can see that nice little bar, and then clicking will give you the spreadsheet for all of it. But yeah, the work efforts is really cool. Really cool. You also have in the department manager, you've got a book of business trends, claims management, data quality. And every role has a data quality as well. That's the one that can also be reached at the bottom of the screen. Overdue activities, retention, policy expiration, risk map, work performed. And the data quality is actually, that's found from the Pulse dashboard, but we can go straight to it from here. Every role is going to have a different piece of data. So, so here, this is nice because it lists the data deficiencies. You've got 0 invalid records, so that's good. Activity records with an invalid employee. Here's lines in effect with an invalid servicing employee. That's employees that are blank or are inactivated, are no longer there. So you should be able to click right there and drill down and get right to those data errors right there. So these will show you a lot of what your audit reports show you here.
Jenny, we have a question in chat for department manager. Obviously, you have some department managers that are only over certain employees. Is there a way to limit the employees that department managers have access to see, or is it all?
It's all. It's all out of the box. If you get into the asset builder, you could do filters based on the employees or the department that you were over, but out of the box, it's all of them. So yeah, that's a really good question. You could come in and just see your, limit your department. You can still see everyone, but you can limit your view there that way. And then you can save your default filter, just like in Renewals Manager. That's a really good question. All right, then the principal owner starts on this Pulse dashboard here. And they have, in addition to being able to view all of the roles, you see how I'm able to switch, through all of the roles easily. They have a ton of dashboards available. They have the Pulse dashboard, a sales overview, transaction analysis, carrier overview, carrier trends. You can click to all these, just right here. One opportunities and opportunity pipeline overview, commission breakdown by type of business, and that's either P&C or benefits, or they'll mix it together. There's a data quality, a client map, just like they have a client map as opposed to just a risks from the application, and then they also have the risk map too. So they have both. So that's kind of neat. I want to show you the agency health dashboard though in this one. There's just so much that we could cover that I wanted to make sure that we got through at least the high level overview. So here's the agency health, and it's looking for March of 2025. And now I can see, of all the policies that were in force, and you can click your information to see exactly how they're determining, and it's by service summary row and expiration date and things like that. It's not by policy status. So the dashboards just completely ignore the policy status. It's looking to see, if it's canceled, does it have a cancel service summary row, things like that. But here's my total commission for the month of March. and I can toggle between estimated, annualized, or billed, commission, or premium. That way I can limit by department. I can pull in just individual client information. I can ignore any migrated policies if I want to. There's a commission premium change by NAICS or SIC, and you can choose which one you want to see down here. Change by department and by branch. Here's your retention by department and retention by the NAICS code there. So that's a really neat dashboard to have. A lot of information that you can't necessarily get from Epic reports. So I would definitely just make sure that you're hovering over and seeing exactly how the data is pulled, and making sure that if you're wanting to use these, that your workflows align with that. The other one I want to show you on this one is the Book of Business Trends. And that one is, so this is showing you trends, and you can do a comparison. So from 2024, this is the last 12 months. So from 2024 March to March 2025, I'm looking at annualized, but I'm an estimated girl. I like the estimated. And we're looking at commission again. So now I can see how my book of business, like just the trends in my book of business, how I went up, I'm doing amazing. And then here's my policy count. So I didn't really add that. I mean, that's a little bit flatter than that. So I'm doing good. I'm doing more with less. And then here, same thing, client count. So that's just a really nice trends to see there.
Hey, Jenny, back on your post dashboard, when we're looking at total commissions, can you clarify if the total commissions is billed commission or estimated commission for items booked during that month?
It is what you choose up here. So I have chosen estimated, but I can certainly toggle to build commission, and refresh. And now it's billed commission. If I want to go back to estimated, I just click the estimated and go back that way. So yeah, great questions. All right, I'm going to move on to the next one, and we're going to look at the sales manager. And on this one, same thing, Pulse dashboard. You also have a sales overview, and this is based on policy data. If you pull it in, it says it comes from policy detail. It's going to be a mix of policy information, and then also opportunities information too. So there's a sales overview, there's one lost opportunities, that dashboard, there's an opportunity pipeline overview. We'll look at that one in a sec. Overdue opportunities, and then the data quality as well. The book of business trends is also on the sales manager dashboard, and there's also a risk map on there. Let's look at, I did not tell you, there's a retention summary here. And I know there's always a million questions about retention, but here's a nice retention summary.
We do have a question about that, and I know we probably don't have enough time to dig into that today, because that is a pretty big topic on, retention and the difference between our reports and our dashboards.
Some of the things that to keep in mind though with retention is when you're running the Epic report, it is again just based on policy status. It is just policy retention. You can download into Excel and figure out client-based retention and figure it out, on your own outside of Epic. But for the most part, you're just going to get policy-based retention off of the retention report. And you have to have your workflows just so. And the retention report that's just out of the box of Epic is only going to count. It's going to count everything retained except canceled insured's request, and canceled for non-pay. So if you have a non-renewal code or any other kind of cancellation, that's not pre-built into that report. And that's what my blog that I wrote is about there. With this one, So retention in dashboards is basically it's counted as retained or not retained based on that service summary row action renew. Because if it's new, of course it's it's brand new. Um, but retained means that it's got the service summary row actions renew. It's in force on the last day of whatever term that you're at and has at least one previous term. If it's not retained, then it's not in force on that last day of when you're looking. So this is in the last 45 days. So on day 45, if it was not in force and there's no future term, then it's not gonna count that. It's not retained, not taking policy statuses into account, and it ignores the in process service summary rows. And basically, it defines a policy or a client or premium as retained or not retained based on those definitions, and then says retained, your retention rate is what's retained divided by the total number of retained and not retained policies, clients, etc. during that. So so here you do get your client retention percentage as long as your workflows are right and you're following the way that the dashboards expects you to see it. Right now, you can see that our demo database has an 87% client retention rate. The national average is 85%, so we're slightly better than average. And then here's our premium retention, not so great. We've not kept our data up. And then here's line retention there. And then it's going to break it down by producer broker. And here you go, client, commission, and line. So you can see who's got the better retention rates. And then here is your client's not retained percentage, not retained summary here. And then, so these are the retains and these are the not retains. And those two should add up, they do, to 100%. So yeah, that's just a really fun report to play around with. I say fun, and most of you are probably like, no, it's not fun at all. But that's on the sales manager dashboard. So that's really neat. And there's retention summaries. I'm pretty sure on the principal owner, and I think I saw it on the department manager as well. The sales manager also has this opportunity pipeline overview. So if you're using opportunities in Epic and tracking your sales in Epic here, this will show your pipeline. And this is really nice because it'll break it down by stage. We always recommend like making those stages meaningful for your agency, but you can see your total pipeline value and everything that's coming down the pike. You can see all that there. There's some heat maps and all kinds of fun stuff in there. So that's good for producers or for the sales manager. And then the producers themselves have a lot of similar ones. They go with their Pulse dashboard here. And so this is, again, for anything that's anything that's pulling policy information. So the sales manager is anybody that's on their sales team, and that's configured in your employee account. The producer dashboard is where you are on the PRBR tab. So not the servicing tab of the policy, but the PRBR commissions tab. You've got to be on the PRBR commissions tab to see that. And then on the opportunities information, you're listed as the owner. So here we are, and you can see, here's our Pulse dashboard here. We've got a sales overview that you get to that just clicking in there. You have a retention summary in here. You have your opportunity pipeline overview, overdue opportunities. You do have your data quality as well. And then you also have a policy expiration report. So let me go to there. This is nice because you can see as a producer what's coming up or what your renewals are. So this is unfortunate because I have no expiring policies, but this will tell you that this is policies that are expiring and have not yet been renewed in Epic. So if you renew in Epic, but you're still not finished, it's still going to come off of this. This is why renewals manager is so important, because you can renew it in Epic and you're still working through the renewals manager stages. But here's, it breaks it down by type of business. Here's your expiring policies. There's the premium there. This login doesn't have any renewals on the PRBR tab there, but you can see the policy type as well, and premium by policy type. So it'll break that down. And there are charts, charts and bar graphs and things like that. And let's just do another data quality really quick and see what their data quality is. Mostly has to do with getting in touch with clients. So I've got 280 prospect accounts, and they have no open activities. So that means I'm not following up on 280 prospects. I'm missing out on some opportunities there. I've got 11 clients with invalid phone numbers. It actually knows, it does the lookup with the area code and things like that. So if you've got old data and they don't have a correct area code in there, it will not take 555 anymore. I think that's funny. And blank street address, invalid area code. So things that data that producers might be in charge of, that's there. And then they also have the risk map. All right. I'm going to roll through again. Now here's your IT operations manager, and this is the only one that does not have a Pulse dashboard. The data quality is their landing page. And so, like I said, you might be a little confused, when you're assigning roles. If someone's the operations manager, they may not care about this dashboard. They would probably want the department manager dashboard. But this is IT and operations, like security operations kind of thing. So here's your security trend. Here's any changes to your security settings. If you've granted access, things like that. Here's your login trends, so you can see who's logged in. So we've had 2 login attempts yesterday, and we can click on it and see that Laura and Jenny are the ones that have logged in. And we can see if there's any activities that have an invalid employee, lines with invalid employees. So a lot of data cleaning kind of issues right there. Mismatch type of business. So if the box is checked that they're personal lines and commercial lines, but the policies only reflect commercial lines, they'll show up here and they'll say, hey, you need to go in and uncheck that box on the account detail screen. So we've got data quality, we've got an Epic security audit page, we've got the Epic login page, and then we also have a risk map too. And I believe all the risk maps are the same. But here's your login attempts by response. Here's all your successful logins, your login trends, things like that. So you can see who's logged in, what time, what machine they've logged in from. There's also a report that you can do in the management section of my reports it's like a user login report. That's basically this, but it's not a pretty graph. All right, and then let's go last but not least to the accountant. And the accountant has the Pulse dashboard as well. You've got a dashboard for payables, for receivables, unapplied cash and credit. You've got a bank balance dashboard, so that's really nice, your banking information, premium trust reconciliation. You've got a month closing dashboard, a transactions audit, transactions analysis, data quality again, direct bill download dashboard, and loss management. This is the only one without a risk map on it. So there should not be a risk map on the accountant. Yep. So I want to go just show you real quick, like what the receivables look like. We may or may not have data in here, but just remember, highlight the I and figure out, where it's coming from. So here's just total receivables right here, up to 30, 31 to 60, all of that kind of stuff. This is, yep, you click the number and it should give you a breakdown. I feel like I need to sing the Jeopardy theme while it loads. Yeah, here we go. So here's the breakdown of my receivables, the transactions there, And if I click here, that'll take me right to the account detail of this account. If I click here, that takes me right to the policy and opens that up there as well. And so there's that. And then here's receivables by account. And I only have one account with receivables on it as of March 2025. So that's a handy visual there. Yes, you have your Epic reports, but that's there. And then this one, I want to show you this one, the month closing. It's kind of cool. And it's giving me a warning here that I'm on March 2025 and my current default accounting month is May. So it's just reminding me to update my month so I can pull this in. And so now here is just kind of a snapshot of everything. My agency bill receivable balance, direct bill receivable balance, premium payable, producer broker payable, government payable, all right here. Here's all my write-offs, anything suspended. If you go, what is this? Then this is suspended receipts, disbursements, vouchers, journal entries, reconciliations. It would list it all right there. So this is kind of a really cool dashboard to kind of go to your month end, and then you can drill down. I would definitely still run all of my accounting reports, but again, remember these are just to show you trends and just give you just a different, fresh view of this. I'm going to stop talking for a sec because I feel like there might be questions. Are there, Laura?
Yeah, I'll put these two together. They are back in our IT dashboard, actually.
Okay.
Jocelyn asked, you can see whose security has changed in that first section. There was a section where we could see security changes. Are we able to see whose security changed in that area?
Oh, yes. So if you click the number, like this was the 3 security changes. And it should tell me exactly what changed. So logins, I added a login. We added Aurora. And then here we edited Aurora, and it tells you who did the updating. And then we edited the user section and edited the login section. So yeah, that does tell you that. If I click this security trends, it should give me that whole other dashboard of here's your top 5 security changes, the types, all of this kind of stuff. I'm hoping that eventually they'll get to this for all of configuration so that you can see who's changed what, who added that new activity code, who made a change, that kind of thing. But here we go. So here is Aurora, Buffy, and Laura there, and it'll show what was changed with each one of those. And then there's your logins and things like that. And then this just lists them out all together and who did it.
Jocelyn also asked, are you able to see who hasn't logged in so many days?
Oh, that's a really good question. Let's see. Here's the Epic login dashboard. So it's going to tell us our login attempts, who's logged in, but it's not going to tell us who hasn't logged in. Depending on how big your agency is, drop this into Excel, drop a list of my users into Excel, VLOOKUP, and see who's not there. Or pivot table and see who's not there. Yeah, good questions. Let's hop into the asset builder. We've got 8 minutes left, and that'll be just enough time to let you have a general overview. So what you can do with the asset builder is you can modify existing dashboard. These tiles are officially called looks, which I think is kind of cute. It's a look. So you can modify these or you can create brand new ones. Again, only 1 license per agency, depending on the number of users. And I believe that you can contact Applied to purchase additional if you wanted to buy an additional license, but it comes with your Epic, at least one. So again, granting user access is back over here. And then this is our login with the asset builder. So you want to make sure that that's there, and it's only going to let you do one there. And so what you can do is when you're on the dashboard, you can explore from here. And that is this little compass looking thing. If you click that, that takes you right into the dashboard menu here. So you can give it a title. Over here on the left-hand side, you've got your field picker. So here is all of the fields that you can possibly pick for here. And here's all, and here's the ones that are in use on that tile. So I'm basically taking that tile that I clicked and I'm modifying it. So over here on the left, I can see what I'm already using. And over here, I can see everything that's available, which is a lot. Good thing there's a nice little search field here if you're looking for things here. But these are going to be dimensions and measures. So the definition of a dimension is your data fields in Epic. So policy effective date, the things that you're used to. Measures are preset measurements by applied, like calculated or group data. Think totals already in here, that kind of thing. Like I said, you can use the search bar and you can scroll through the options, either all fields or in use. So each one of these little carrots, you can hop down and then you see there's just dimensions here for the GL account, that kind of thing. I'm going to take you over to one of the dashboards that I've done here. So here's one that I created just because it's the same information, but I just wanted to make it look different. So now here's our policy expiration, but I've put these fancy colors in here. If it's from this range, make it purple. If it's this range, make it blue, that kind of thing. Here's all of our employees. We've got them, here's expiration in the next 30 days, the next 60 days, the next 90 days, all of this kind of thing. And then I also put this fancy little button in here. So if you click me, it's taking us right to the Kite Tech YouTube channel there. So you can do some fun things there. I'm going to go back to explore over here. Here's my information. Once you actually start adding these, you're actually going to add them to the data section. So here is, your data section, and this is where you can drag and drop your what the information that you want to compile into this visualization. Here I've got it in a table, but I can certainly make it a bar chart like this, a column chart. Here's a bar chart. Do a little scatter plot. All of these different things. There's so much in here that you can do. And then this top section is your filters. So here is where I'm saying the servicing role is the account manager, and the policy expiring is yes. There's a flag in there that's already built in for you. So you set your criteria here. So you kind of you add your fields at the bottom, and then you filter at the top, and then in the middle is going to be kind of like your canvas. If you're used to working in like Canva or something like that, is your canvas there. So that's basically your 3 sections there, and your field dimensions here. And so you're building all of this, and then to see the results, you just click run. And when you click run, then it'll, that's your refresh, and it'll show you your data as you're making choices, selections there. I know that was like a really quick overview. I know there's probably a million questions about that. I feel like we could probably do a whole group of sessions on Asset Builder instead of the 10 minutes that we had.
Give you a couple questions that we've got out here.
Okay.
So one of the questions is, if you create a dashboard through Asset Builder, does it get assigned to a persona specifically to be available to users, or is it a per user dashboard?
What it does is it creates in a folder out here. So I've got my folder here, and then you can put it in shared if you want. So this is just for me to see in my folder, and I haven't shared it with my organization. If I want to share it with my organization, then it goes, it goes to my organization group here. So this is where you go if you want to start from scratch too. You have to have the Asset Builder to create, and you can create just from scratch. So you can add by persona and users. Great question. So you can create a folder that's only accessible to certain users or certain personas.
The Asset Builder, you get 1 free license, correct?
That's right.
Okay, per so many users. I think it's 100 users, right? And
Yep.
then when someone is assigned that license, am I correct that they're able to essentially see anything in Epic? I guess the concern is if there's security restrictions, for example, seeing certain attachments or activities around security access. Does the
Hmm.
dashboard open up any of that? Do you know?
I don't believe so,
Okay.
but it's my understanding that if you have the asset builder, it's not going to open up other areas of Epic. But as far as like a security level on it attached, doesn't make you an enterprise admin for the rest of Epic. But I would verify that with Applied.
There is a question if there's a tile anywhere in dashboards for canceled new business, or could it be created through asset builder? And I'm thinking that's an asset builder opportunity. And I think that it could be done in asset builder, but I just wanted to run that by you.
Hmm. It could be done in asset builder. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Well, like you said, Laura, we are at the top of the hour. So I just want to give you a couple of next steps. For help, go to our blog. We did write a blog on all of the different tiles within each role. I will say, some of these have been updated. We're going to work on updating that for you. You can also go to the dashboard menu here and look, get some information. You can go here to discover dashboards and get information about your roles. You can view resources and quick start guides here. Those are short little getting started videos. They're not super in depth, but I found them very helpful. So you've got a lot of resources there, and then you feel free to reach out to us as well. I'm going to hand it back over to Eleni.
Absolutely. So thank you, Jenny. You did awesome. What a great presentation. And thank you, Laura. You answered so many questions. You all kept her very busy. So we hope that today's content was valuable to you and you learned some cool new things about dashboards and Epic. On this slide are some specific services that we can help you with. If you need help with any of the above, reach out and we will get back to you. And then on the last slide, Jenny has some of our contact info. So these are all ways that you can reach us. We are in the planning stages for a two-part webinar series covering carrier commission agreements and PR/BR commission agreements. So be on the lookout for that because registration will be opening soon. And please don't forget to do the survey. We know it's probably been a very busy day for everyone, but it just takes a minute and we'd love your feedback. So thank you again for attending, and we hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
All right, take care, everyone.